The Laṅkāvatāra Sūtra, Part 64. Mahāmati once again asked the Buddha, "Bhagavan, please explain what characterizes false projections. How do false projections arise? What constitutes a false projection? And where are false projections found?" The Buddha told Mahāmati, "Excellent. It is excellent that you are able to ask the Tathagata about this for the welfare of the many, for the happiness of the many, out of pity for all the gods and people in this world. Listen carefully and ponder this well, and I will tell you." Mahāmati replied, "Wonderful, Bhagavan. May we be so instructed." The Buddha told Mahāmati, "Projections arise when there is attachment to the misperception of different objects." Mahāmati, because people are unaware that their attachments to projections of what they grasp and of the one who grasps are nothing but perceptions of their own minds, they fall prey to views of existence and non-existence, in which they are abetted by the views of followers of other paths, and the habit energy of their projections. And as they become attached to different external objects, the mind and what belongs to the mind give rise to the projection of a self and what belongs to a self. Mahāmati said, "Bhagavan, since projections arise when there is attachment to the misperception of different objects, and people are unaware that the projections of what they grasp and of the one who grasps are nothing but perceptions of their own minds, and they fall prey to views of existence and non-existence in which they are abetted by the views of followers of other paths and the habit energy of their projections, and as they become attached to various external objects, the mind and what belongs to the mind give rise to the projection of a self and what belongs to a self. Since this is so, Bhagavan, when they fall prey to the existence or non-existence of different external objects that neither exist nor do not exist, and that transcend the characteristics of views, Bhagavan, this is also true of ultimate truth, which transcends the characteristics of measurement, sensation, inference, analogy, and causation. Why, on the one hand, Bhagavan, does attachment to the discrimination of the existence of an unreal object give rise to projections, and on the other hand, attachment to ultimate truth not give rise to projections? Are you not teaching a false doctrine of causation, Bhagavan, when you say the one gives rise to them and the other does not?" The Buddha said, "Mahāmati, it is not true that one projection arises and the other does not." "And why not?" "Because projections of existence or non-existence do not arise. Projections do not arise when the external objects that appear as existing or not existing are seen to be nothing but perceptions of one's own mind." Mahāmati, I tell foolish people that because the different projections of their minds appear before them as objects, they become attached to the existence of their projections. So how do they get free of views of attachment to a self, or what belongs to a self, and get free of the misconception of causation as cause and effect? By becoming aware that their projections are nothing but mind. Thus do they transform their body and mind, and finally see clearly all the stages and realms of self-awareness of Tathagatas, and transcend views and projections regarding the 5 dharmas and modes of reality. This is why I say that projections arise from the attachment to things that are unreal, and that once someone knows what is real, they free themselves from the various projections of their own mind. The Buddha then repeated the meaning of this in verse. Who says the world arises from causes and conditions, imagines the 4 possibilities, but doesn't understand my teaching. It neither arises nor doesn't arise, nor both of these, nor neither. So why do fools imagine the world's causes and conditions? Who sees the world like this, neither existing nor not existing, nor both of these nor neither, transforms their mind and finds no self? Whatever exists does not arise, because it arises from conditions. Whatever results from conditions is a result and not self-existent. Nor does a result produce a result. Twin results are a fallacy. Since twin results cannot occur, their existence cannot be found. Viewing conditioned things without support and supporting nothing as nothing but the no-mind mind, thus I teach nothing but mind. Where only essential nature dwells, free from existence and conditions, where existence is finally purified, this, I say, is nothing but mind. The conventional self is a fabrication, containing nothing real. The skandhas, too, are fabrications, containing nothing real as well. Equalities are fourfold: characteristics, causes, and results. No self is the third. Practice and practitioner are the fourth. As the habit energy of projections change, the mind gives rise to a myriad things. An objective realm appears outside, a world that is nothing but mind. What appears outside does not exist. All the things seen by the mind, your abode, body, and possessions, these, I teach, are nothing but mind. Transcending every view, free from conceiving and conception, where nothing arises and nothing is found, this, I teach, is nothing but mind. Neither existing nor not existing, free from existence and non-existence, the liberation of this mind, this, I teach, is nothing but mind. Emptiness, suchness, and reality, nirvana and the Dharma realm, the different projection bodies, these too, I teach, are nothing but mind.